Unfortunately, today, there are many Jews that are walking around like this, feeling like they're fully clothed. Feeling like they have everything that they need because they've decided what the law is. And on this, Rabotai, is what the Chazon Ish, alav shalom, discusses. In his 12th section, in the first chapter of Emunah and Bitachon, and he says, a thin line, kav dak, משתרע בין החוכמה והסכלות, ולא ייתן לאדם להיכנס להיכל החוכמה, אך אין העדינות, ועליזת הנשמה מוחקת את קו החוצץ כליל ומסילת החוכמה לפניו למישור. אבל האדם הנמשל להעיר פרא, אשר אסור בזיקי התאווה כיום היוולדו. Chazon Ish says there's a thin line between wisdom and foolishness. Foolishness being a lack of common sense, lack of good sense, lack of an understanding of basic things that are required of every human being, Jew or Gentile. And politically incorrect as it could be, this is how the Chazon Ish starts. He says, oh, you think you're smart? Okay, you should know, as smart as you think you are, the difference between your wisdom and complete stupidity is very small. The thin line separating it. Yeah, but I studied. No problem. Not saying you're stupid. No. I'm just saying the difference between where you're at, according to, you're saying you know what you're doing, and according to stupidity, even by your own opinion, is very small. Small line between them. Why? Says the thin line between wisdom and folly, and will not allow a man to enter the portals of wisdom. This thin line, although it's thin, it's such a strong line that if it's not addressed the right way, a person will never be able to cross it and arrive at the side of wisdom from his current status of foolishness. Like, it's not a thin line in order to tell you, oh, it's easy to cross it. No, opposite. It's a thin line that if you do not acknowledge and address it carefully, you could simply live your life on the side of foolishness 70 years without even realizing it. Thinking, actually, you are on the side of wisdom. He continues in saying, gentleness of the eye, meaning a refinement of the eye, and happiness of the soul erase this line completely. And the path of wisdom stretches ahead smoothly. What's the cure to this issue? How do you get rid of this line? Refining your character traits. Without refining your character traits to become a more gentle person, and now so attacking, horrible, judgmental, and so on and so forth, and without working on your happiness. Happiness does not mean that you walk around with a smile ear to ear all the time. Happiness doesn't mean you make jokes of everything. Happiness is a spiritual status of a person that just is. He wakes up happy, he goes to sleep happy, even if there's problems everywhere in between. Now, if a person has this refinement of the eye and this happiness of the soul, that erases the line completely. Meaning, you are now smoothly going to acquire higher levels of wisdom. Now, in so many words, without gentleness in midot, in character traits, without refining our character traits, without becoming more gracious to people, more humble, more generous, more sincere, honest, welcoming, and all of the positive character traits of a person, without this type of character that is looking to help the world without expecting anything in return. If it's given, great. If not, no big deal. Looking to improve their marriage even when it's already good. Looking to do more for your spouse without asking, what are they going to do for you? Looking to give your kids everything you possibly can in order to give them a better life without thinking about, oh, how much is this going to cost, how much is that going to cost, but simply doing your best. Being honest in business no matter what the profit line is going to be. You're not looking at honesty as something that's a variable. I'm going to be honest so long as I'm profitable. But if I'm not profitable, then I'll have to be dishonest. No such thing exists in your head. And so on and so forth. Without these types of gentleness in your midot to soften you and make you less of a hazard for society, and without acquiring this happiness of the soul, which obviously is acquired only through Kedusha, only through Torah itself, a person simply cannot acquire wisdom. That's what the Chazon Ish is saying in opening remarks in this particular part. It doesn't matter how many books you read. It doesn't matter how many shiurim you attend. It doesn't matter what school you've attended. None of that matters. Because a person who doesn't have good midot and having a gentle character is not going to be able to control his desires. And such a person is not going to know how to tell their body no. Because your body is going to have needs. You're going to see a burger. You're going to see a woman. You're going to see money. You're going to see this. You're going to see different things. And if you haven't refined your character traits to simply take control of yourself, you're not going to be able to acquire wisdom. Why? You are operating more on instinct than you are on wisdom. So now, if a person goes to school and finishes college and gets his bachelor's, and then he goes to grad school and he gets his master's, and he continues with school and he gets his PhD, and he continues and he gets his doctorate, and he continues and he becomes not just a doctor, but the head of a division of doctors, the head professor. He is the one who teaches other doctors. He is the master of a group of doctors in a field. Now, such a person, the world would agree this person has intellect. He's acquired intellect. He read a lot of books. He passed a lot of tests. He has a certain amount of experience. But when it comes to wisdom, that's only judged based on his character traits. Meaning, if that person, that doctor of doctors, the doctor that has passed all of these classes and got his masters and bachelors and PhDs and all of this stuff and is now a well-established expert in his field, if that person, when he walks and he sees a woman and he turns around and follows her as if he's a sensor of laser or something like that, and regardless of whether her IQ is 1 or 1,000, guess what? He has now become lesser than the 1. All of that medicine, all of that experience, all of that is worth 0. Why? Because all of that you've learned did not change you as a person. You remain the same piece of flesh, the same animal that you started in this world as. If every single time you have somebody inviting you to a chatuna, to a bat mitzvah, to some type of simcha, you already get anxious because you're nervous about what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? And your husband says, honey, you have a whole slew of dresses. No, I can't. They already saw me in that dress. No, this is a new one. No, I wore that one 8 years ago. Don't you remember? No, okay, yeah, I remember. What about this one? No, that one I wore 6 weeks ago. No, that one I wore 9 years ago. No. So, why, another dress? Yeah, another dress. You have a very serious problem. Why? You worry too much about your desires, about people's opinions of you, about people's, understanding of your value and their determination of your value based on a dress, based on your hair, based on your shoes, not based on your wisdom and your actual real value. You have completely summed up your value based on how fancy your dress is. And that's why the whole year you wear a kisui rosh like a tzadikah, but when it comes to an event, it comes to a simcha, all of a sudden the wig that's longer than the exile comes out of the closet. Honey, where's your kisui rosh? I have it. What do you mean you have it? Where? I don't see it. No, this is it. That's your hair. No, it's not my hair. It's the one from India. I mean, it's not from India. It's the one from Belgium. It's the one from England. It's that one. Yeah, it's from Brazil, and the mafia over there. That's real. That's not your hair. No, honey, look, it's moving. Oh, okay. How come you're wearing that? Where's the kisui rosh I see you all year round? No, come on. How could I show up to a simcha with the shmata on my head? Why? Sarah Imenu had a shmata on her head. Chana had a shmata on her head. And they didn't call it a shmata. They called kisui rosh. They called a crown of a tzadikah. Why are you embarrassed to look like Sarah Imenu? That's why you call Sarah Imenu the most beautiful woman in history. Woman that wore a shmata on her head, not a crown. You're better than her. All year round, kisui rosh, but in the simcha, you have what happened? Oh, because you care about what everybody else says. So that's your value. Ish lefi ma'alalo. A person is valued based on what he praises. You are telling people your whole value is the way you look. So don't complain if they judge you based on the way you look. Don't complain that they turn you into a piece of meat, because that's what you made yourself into. If a person acquires all the knowledge in the world in secular wisdom, and it does not, even in the Torah world, but it does not change their character traits, they have not acquired wisdom. Why? Because the Chazon Ish, who was a Gaon is an understatement. Without ever attending medical school, he would teach surgeons, brain surgeons, how to operate on their brain. How to operate on brains. Till this day, people learn some of his writings to know how to do brain surgery. He says this wisdom, it's not based on the books. It's based on character traits. If you have not softened your character traits, you have not refined your character traits, you have not attained happiness of the soul, you have not attained wisdom. But a man is likened to a wild beast, the Chazon Ish says, and remains chained by his desires as he was on the day of his birth. He continues seeking sweetness and pleasure and is constantly angered and full of false pride. Here the Chazon Ish, in essence, says everything we've said in the last hour and a half in a single sentence. He says, you know why you haven't acquired wisdom? Because you're still the same beast you were born. When you were born, all you wanted was something based on your physical needs. You wanted to eat, you wanted to relieve yourself, you wanted to eat, you wanted to relieve yourself, sleep in between. As you got older, you asked for a few other physical needs. Pretty much it. The difference between you and a sheep or a calf or or some other animal, nothing really. They walk on 4, you walk on 2, sometimes 4. Not much of a difference. Some say you're cuter, some say the puppy's cuter. It's debatable. Says that's what a man is likened to. A wild beast. But he's not supposed to be. But he keeps himself chained. Chained to this wild beast status because his desires are controlling him. Because he's constantly looking for pleasure. He's constantly looking for a good time. So, is shiur tonight? Yeah. Is there going to be food? Maybe yes, maybe no. You're coming for the food? You're coming for the shiur. There's food sometimes. Yeah, no problem. But the question is, why are you coming? Are you coming for the food or are you coming for the shiur? If you're coming for the food, there's probably better food at your house. If you come for the shiur, okay, the food is fine. No problem. No problem. But when a person is constantly looking for pleasure, that's what makes them decide everything in their life. Everything in their life. And then he says, this person is constantly angered and full of false pride. Why is such a person that's desire-based? What's the connection between wanting good stuff, wanting a good time, and constantly being angry and being full of false pride? What's the connection? If a person is only looking to have a good time, is only looking to fulfill their desires, that means that their life in total, from the minute that they're born until they leave this world, if they do not do tshuva for this, their entire life, without a moment spared, will be full of disappointment. Why? There will never be enough desire to satiate you. Never. Why? You're going to say, listen, my dream, I want to go to this concert of such and such artist. And I know this firsthand, I've seen this in my own eyes. There was this young man wanted to go to a concert of some artist that he liked. And this artist, I don't know, is one of these people, every ticket is $1 zillion. Long story short, one of his family members bought him front row tickets. Front row tickets, it was an arm and a leg, front row tickets to go see this artist. Wow, amazing, great, yeah, you coming, I'm gonna go, yeah, all the excitement in the world, wow, yeah, you're fine, yeah, you're going, yeah. Okay, guess what? They show up to the yard, wow, that's it? That's it? What do you mean that's it? It's a 2-hour show, what do you want it to be, for a year? You paid him for a couple hours, you didn't pay him for his life. What, that's it? That's it? It's over? That's it, my whole life I waited for this? That's just 2 hours? When's the next one? I don't know, 5 years from now. When we get the money back, finally, to pay for another ticket. Hopefully, you don't want to go again. And that's what happens. When a person's life is driven by their desires, they're going to constantly be angry, constantly be disappointed. The car they get, one day it's the best, shortly later it's not good enough. Why? A new model came out. Computer they like, they finally get it, a week later it becomes the same gurta, the same junk it was as the previous machine. They see no difference. The shoes they like, they finally get them. After the first stain becomes a permanent mark, it's just another shoe. The wife they get, they dream about her, they love her. A few weeks after marriage, she's just another girl. The husband she gets, oh, my dream, I've been dreaming to be married and go down the aisle and everyone's looking at me in my dress, and like every girl dreams about the day that she's going to get married and with the white dress, okay, a day after marriage, okay, so wait, you're staying? Yeah, we got married yesterday. Oh, so that wasn't like my dream. My dream was over at some point. Like, you're staying though? Constant disappointed. Why? When your whole life is based on desires, at some point that desire will no longer be a desire, but you still have it. Meaning, you've acquired this thing and you finally realize it's not all that. It's not as good as it was in your imagination. So your whole life is full of frustration of the stuff that you got that wasn't as good as you thought it was, and the stuff that you don't have and you can't get. Constantly frustrated, constantly angry. Why does he have it? How come I don't have it? How come God gives it to him and not me? I keep Shabbos. I keep this. I should be getting much more than him. I should get a car. Why does he have a car? He's a nothing. I learned Daf Yomi. He learned nothing. Angry at the world for no reason except the fact that, what does Zohar say? False pride. He's full or she's full of false pride. When your whole life is based on desires, once in a while, Hashem gives you stuff. Okay, what do you want? A car? Here you go, kid. What do you want? Wife? Here you go, kid. What do you want? Some food? Here you go. Here you go. Oh, he gives it to you. So what do you think? You got some of this stuff. So you think, yeah, so see, God's blessing me. I am all that. You're not. You got some blessings because you're still God's son or God's daughter. So he gave you some stuff to feed you so you can eat and live and hopefully do tshuva. But instead of saying thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what are you thinking? You're thinking you deserve it. You've become self-righteous. You've become a person that thinks that everything that you got, you deserve it. In reality, you have more coming to you because you keep this and you do this, and I'm so generous and I'm so nice. And look, I walked that guy across the street. He was blind. Okay, what do you want? Like a special Gan Eden for walking him 8 feet? Look, I gave that guy, a homeless guy, I gave him some money. You gave him 40 cents, buddy. His life's not going to change. That was change that you had in your pocket you forgot about because you haven't washed your pants. What are you, like, what? But in the person that their whole life is desire-based, they don't think about how they impact the world. They think about how the world impacts them because they're entitled. They feel entitled. They feel the world owes them something, which is the current generation we've been living in. Everyone feels like they're owed something. They get a gift, that's it. They get a job, that's it. Everything is, that's it. That's all. That's all you got. You have another one. You have another. That's it. That's the problem.